but we'll see what happens. So thanks for joining me, guys. Team Courage is going back to every other week calls. I don't know if hers will be on Thursdays. I think right now we're on the right weeks where they're opposite weeks. So there'll be a team call either with Team Ignite or Team Courage. If it works out that it's better that we keep them all on the same day at the same time so people know, I can do that. I guess we'll just kind of play it by ear, and I'll talk to the people that are usually on the calls and see what's best for them, most likely. But I wanted to talk mainly about our weekend. This past weekend, there was a leadership retreat in Texas, and Leslie was there, her husband was there, and it was a small group. I don't know the exact total, but there was 20 of us, maybe 25 max, but I think there was about 20 of us. And one of the topics was actually like why it was so small, because it was open to everyone in Team Courage, which is thousands and thousands of people. And Summer usually doesn't open it up to everyone. It's usually just her personally sponsored coaches, which none of us are. And so I jumped on it just because I've been to a small leadership with her and it was amazing. So I knew I wasn't going to miss that. Although there was this caveat that we had to do a Spartan race. And so for the last 6 months or however long it's been planned, even longer than that, I knew that I was going, but I was so scared about this race. I've only done like 2 5Ks in my life. I'm not into competitions. I'm not there for the t-shirt or the medal or even the free beer after. Like, it's just not really my thing. So I've done a few things just to challenge myself, but this was so out of my comfort zone, which I think was really good for me, because I've gotten really good at getting out of my comfort zone, which a lot of you have not. But this is something that really pushed me and challenged me, and to be quite frank, like, scared the shit out of me. So even up to the day of the event, I just had this negative reel playing, which a lot of us do, whether it's with our own health and fitness journey, or how we're going to be in this business, or how we are as a mother, or how we are as a wife, or, a million things that we tell ourselves that we're not good at, or that we suck at, or, we're not pretty, or we're too fat, or we're this or we're that. And we talked about all these things this weekend that play over and over in our head, and how to crash the shadow box, basically, which is an excellent book. And hold on, I just got to mute everyone. I think everyone mostly is. And so we go into this, and then you have Leslie and her husband here, who like Miss Iron Women people. And she's scared too, but she's been doing all this running and burpees. I've been like using my back as an excuse, like not to train as well as I probably should have for such event. And we had a day of training on Saturday, and we went to this race on Sunday. Okay. And I cannot believe that I will say, honestly, I would do it again. Like, I will do it again. Like, it was an amazing, amazing experience. I still cannot fully lift my arms above my head.
Can you please turn the light off?
Hold on, let me mute everyone. I'm so freaking sore. I'll have to ask Leslie how sore she is. But I am so sore, like, and not in my legs. Like, I just think I used so much upper body strength that I didn't even know that I had, or my body wasn't prepared for. But the best part of the race for me, of course, doing it as a team, and all the support and sticking together and helping each other. It took us 2.5 hours to complete the course. It was 4.6 miles and 22 obstacles, and went in pretty blind, like hearing about things that we might have to do, but not like really looking, because Leslie kept telling me to stop looking at everything because I'd freak out. And we just went. So one of the most impactful parts of the race for me, and I promise I'm getting to a point, is the hardest one. And I hope I don't cry, Leslie. Oh my gosh. There was a couple things that I didn't think that I could do, and I couldn't do everything. If you couldn't complete something, you had to do 30 burpees. And, like, if I was on 20 burpees and Leslie had 10 in her, she'd do 10 for me. So we all worked each other like that to get through each event. But towards it was the last half mile of the race. So very tired. And we were in this obstacle where we had to climb a muddy hill, go down a muddy hill into this like nasty water, and then go under something in the water. And I totally lost my shit. Like I was like hyperventilating, and I wasn't expecting to. I don't have a fear of water, but it was just going under and already being out of breath, and probably truly not knowing what was on the other side, because the whole course is so up and down that you would like get under or over something and you're like, what? Like I did not see that coming. So I have two girls with me that were my roommates over the weekend. I stayed with one girl that I knew and two new people I didn't know, and they were so fabulous. And one was like, let's do it together. I'll hold your hand. So we go under this muddy water and we come out on the other side, and there's this wall. I say like this, but really it's like this, that you have to then grab a rope and climb up. And I'm like, you are kidding me. And for some reason, like I wasn't like, oh, I can't do that. There were some things like when the rope climbed at the end, I was like, I can't do that. Like I'm gonna go over here and do my burpees, right? But this, I was like, I think I can do it. Like, or I'm gonna try to do it. So climbing up the rope, and I get like 80% to the top, right? So like I'm just right there over this wall, and I still don't even know what's on the other side of this wall, like how I'm going to get down off this wall. So I'm right there at the wall, and I started to break down. Like those negative thoughts start to come in. It's like, you can't do this. You can't get over the wall. Like I can't. And I started, I can't. And John, Leslie's husband, came up behind me. Meanwhile, he's holding onto his own rope, trying to hold his own body weight up, and is like, put your foot on my foot, put your foot on my knee, like use me as leverage. And then Chad Tucker, Summer's husband, comes up the other way and is trying to get me to get a little closer. He's like, just take one more pull. And I'm sorry if there's kids in the room, but he gets in my face, and this guy was, Captain Marine man, and he's like, Kimberly, look at me, because I'm starting to lose it. And he's like, get over the fucking wall. And I was just like, okay. And he's like, get your leg over the wall. You're gonna do it. And I wish I was telling the story to Matthew today, and I wish I had video of how I did it, because I have no idea how I got my leg over that wall. I have no clue how it happened, but my leg got over the wall. I got to the other side. Thank God it was a ladder and I didn't have to jump off anything. And I climbed down the ladder, and it was so emotional. And I still had half a mile to go and 3 or 4 more obstacles, but it was the most satisfying experience, because I had all these fears before I even got to that wall with the water. I had all these things playing in my head saying, I can't do it, just quit, just do your burpees and go on. And then I had this team that talked me out of those negative thoughts and negative behaviors, and reminded me that I could do it, that I could, like, stop stopping yourself. And I've been thinking about it ever since we got home, because so many of us hit a wall and we're scared to go over it, and we just stop and we become comfortable, and we're like, I can't do that. When if you would just try harder, or if you would get surrounded by people that remind you that you can do it, you would be able to accomplish it. So I just have thought about it. It was such an impactful moment, and I'm sure Leslie has many things to share about it as well. I couldn't have done it without her husband and Chad and all of us sticking together. And that's the thing, guys. They could have gone off and finished this course in an hour and a half. Chad finished everything. I don't think he couldn't do anything, Leslie. I don't think. And he didn't. Like, we were a team. Like, we stayed together, and you don't leave a Spartan behind. And it's no different than this team. Like, we're finishing, we're doing it. We're going to, sometimes yell at you and get in your face and try to help you overcome things. But we all stuck together, and we all did our best, and we all encouraged each other just to push a little bit harder than that you thought you could do, to do a little bit more than you thought you were capable of. And every single person on that trip shocked the hell out of themselves, including if you've never met Summer and Jason Richter, they're in Team Courage, and I'm sure you can find them on Facebook. They're amazing, amazing people. I've gone to Danny Johnson's with them before, but years ago, I believe it was 2008, Summer was diagnosed with bone cancer in her leg. She went through a series of surgeries. She's had over 500 seizures since then. Her husband has been by her side her whole time, and she completed that race in 6 hours. And he, she walks with like cane. And that was that was the best part of the trip, is we stayed until they finished. So 4 hours later, they crossed the finish line, and we were all there. We were there doing burpees when they couldn't do burpees, cheering them on, like they were part of our team, and it was amazing. And if she can do that, anyone can do that race. And I see people in the business the same way. Find someone in this business where you actually say, like, well, if she can do it, a perfect example, me, like, if I can do this, you can do it. Like, total hot mess express. Like, if I can do this, you can do it. And when I spend any time with Summer Tucker, I'm like, if she can do this, I can do it. Like, yes, she's more organized than me, but she's been doing it for 8 years. She's become more laser focused. She's had more personal development. She's had more training. Like, she's just been failing longer than I have, is the only difference between us. So just so many great things came out of it. I always encourage you guys to get to events. Go to Summit. It's not too late to go to Summit. Go to a next Danny Johnson with a group of people. There's a ton of people going to the one in Cleveland. Go to a next Super Saturday retreat. If you don't know people, go and meet new people. It's, like, that's the stories you meet from these other people and see what they're doing with their life shows you how much bigger it is than Beachbody. It's not about Shakeology. It's not about P90X. It's not about insanity. It's about weekends like this and seeing people overcome real life obstacles that are living in their head and living in their heart, and being around them to talk about it and seeing what they're doing with their lives. So that was my feel-good story. I did want to give you some of the things that we talked about. But the main thing that I want to talk about is So we were talking about people are not duplicatable, but systems are. And I think a lot of us get stuck in this trap where it's like we're trying to be someone else. Like, we might even follow other coaches. I do it where I'm like, okay, I like the way that she talks on Facebook, and let me copy this post and try to rework it. Like, I'm trying to duplicate this person, but people aren't duplicatable. There's only one Kimberly and one Ashley and one Julie and one Bree and one Megan. Like, we gotta just be us. Like, but systems are, and this team has amazing systems to tap into. We have every checklist you can imagine. We have every training you can imagine. If you're not good at inviting, we got a scripts. We got invite training. If you're not good at social media, we've got social media training. We've got tons of ideas and things to do. If you're not good at organization, there's tons of information on what can get you organized. Like, it's just tapping into it and not learning and not doing. One of the things quotes that I highlighted was, your actions create your position. So a lot of people think that if I learn and do all these things, all of a sudden, like, you're going to be making $1,000, or you're going to be diamond rank, or you're going to be XYZ, when in fact it's your actions that create your position. So you actually have to be doing them. You can't just do the invite training and never invite anyone. You can't do all the social media training and never post on Facebook. You can't learn everything or ask all the questions without doing the actions. And the actions do come down to my favorite topic, the vital behaviors. Megan said it before I did. It's so stupid simple. Like, we just have to be checking off the vital behaviors. The more money you want to make, and you saw I put a poll in the team today, so if you didn't see it, please answer it. It'll be great. On how much people want to make. And you have to start somewhere. So I don't want you to be like, oh, well, I feel like we get caught in this trap. Like, I want to make six figures. I want to make six figures. Or you're like, Kimberly, you're crazy. I would just like to make $1,000, whatever it is. But that's what I want to start with. Like, if you're making nothing, then let's start by making $100 or $200. Like, let's cover the cost of your product that you're drinking and enjoying. And that's what I started with, even though I knew I was going to drink and enjoy it regardless if I was making money or not. But we have to start there. And then the people that want to make $250 to $500 or $700, then I got to dig in with you a little more and make sure that you're doing certain vital behaviors. And then if you want to make 1,000, then I do have to start to talk about the importance of rank and where you need to be there. But I have to get everyone to that point before I can start saying, okay, now if you want to make $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, and we don't even need to worry about six figures. Like, there's certain things that we need to hit first. You know what I'm saying? So I really want to get an idea of what people want, because you don't have to want what I want. If you would be happy as a clam starting with $250 to $500, or you're not there yet and you feel like that's the first step you need to do, mark that box, because we need to learn how to achieve that. And so I have some checklists for people, and I'm going to divide people based on what they're saying and start some group messages. If you don't want to be in a group message, you can leave the group message. I don't care. You will not hurt my feelings. But I'm putting you in there to help you with a checklist based on what your goals are. So that whole your actions create your position, we really dug into. You are driving your bus. If you've never read The Energy Bus, it's a great read. But you are driving your bus right where you want it. So if you are not happy where your bus is parked, you drove it there. Everyone needs to remember that. You take personal responsibility. I didn't drive it there for you. Your upline, your downline, your sideline, your sister, your mom, your kids, your husband. It's your bus. You're the only one that gets to drive it. So if you're not happy with where it's parked, it's time to pick up the keys, put them in the ignition, and drive it somewhere else. Drive it to Happyville, drive it to Moneyville, drive it to Skinnyville, drive it wherever you want it to be. But if you're not happy with where it is, we have to change something. And so that's a big thing that we talked about too, is change. Like, if you're going to change anything, first you have to recognize that there is a problem. So if you go along, and I do this, I'm classic at doing this, like go along thinking everything's fine, like it's fine, I gained another 5 pounds, I gained another 1 pound, I gained another 2 pounds, it's fine, like I'm not recognizing that there's a problem. And then all of a sudden you're like, mother effer, I've gained 20 pounds. Like, how'd that happen? Well, because I just didn't care. Like, I was just not acknowledging that there was a problem. You see that if you want to compare it to, I mean, we can compare it to anything. It will happen in relationships, marriages, boyfriends, girlfriends. If you're not acknowledging that there's a problem, there's where you lack discipline, you're going to have a problem. Like, something's going to come up where it's like, well, how did this happen? Because you never acknowledged that there's a problem. You didn't acknowledge that you weren't spending enough time together. You didn't acknowledge that you weren't communicating through things. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we never see each other, we never talk. Well, yeah, so let's recognize the problem and see how to fix it.
We can't see what people are chatting.
I had to mute someone.
It's probably me.
The Murphs are talking again. She might have been trying to say something to me, but I don't know. Okay, so we have to recognize there's a problem. One activity that we did, and I don't have a...
Mama, it's me, Mama.
So I can't.
I muted her, but it keeps unmuting. Okay, so this will be good for you to type in the chat if you're available to chat. And now I'm reading the chat. Carmen, you should so do one. We will do one after you have a baby. They're going to plan another one. I know they will, because it was such an amazing experience. But one of the things that we did is write down characteristics that we would like in coaches on our team. So you don't have to write down, like we had to write down like 10, but if you just want to write like a top 2 or 3 that pop into your mind, we can discuss this real quick. So I've had to do this a couple times in this year, actually. So what are characteristics that you would want of coaches on your team? So like one of mine was actually likes people. That would be nice. I don't want a bunch of people on my team that don't like people. Put it in the chat. Don't be shy. Chat away. Enthusiastic. Yes, enthusiastic about life. That's a good one. Supportive, friendly, driven. Yes. Determined. Anyone else? Consistent. I love the consistent one. Someone else said that and I totally stole it for myself. I have teachable, coachable on mine. I have confident, team players, shows up. That was the one that came up too, Joanna. People that just show up. We talked about that a lot. Enthusiastic, we talked about that. Some of the other ones were goal setters, positive, people that invest in themselves, personable, trustworthy, vulnerable, organized enough. Don't have to be super organized, just enough to like function. Relationship. Oh, this is one of Summer's. She says they have a relationship with what comes out of their mouth. So they're self-aware of like what they're saying before it comes out of their mouth. Supportive, has your back, takes ownership for their self, cares about what others more than their current circumstances, wake up, show up, never give up on, technically retarded. Yeah, so these are great. They're very similar to like the constant ones we kept seeing in the room, and everyone wrote one down and we're talking about them on the board. And it might have been obvious to people in the room, but for me, it was like an aha moment. She said, so if you want to have all of these things and you want to attract all of these things, you have to be all of these things. And I was like, oh, well, shit. Like, I don't know that I am. Like, even on my list of things that I wanted, I was like, wow, like, I do think I'm a confident person, so I hopefully will attract that. But there are things where I'm teachable in some areas and I see myself very resistant in others. I invest in my growth. I'm a goal setter. I'm usually positive. But then there's other things on there, like I don't get overly vulnerable on Facebook. I'm not as organized as I think I could be to be better at this, to be honest. I am supportive. I do have your back, like all those sort of things. But it really made me take a look at what are the things that I can improve. And if I'm constantly frustrated maybe with people that I'm attracting to coaching, it's something that I'm probably doing myself. So I thought that was eye-opening for us to think about. So, you know, look at other people's, make your own list and say, am I all these things? And if you are you portraying them on Facebook? Like, to people that don't know you, can they read your posts and get the idea that, you know, you're humble and trustworthy and confident and all of those things? Or do you come off as a very unconfident person or a very nervous person? Like, one of the things that, you know, we talked about was you aren't, what was it exactly? Like, you're not going to attract, no one follows someone who doesn't believe in where they're going. So don't be wishy-washy. Like, if you know where your bus is going, start to tell people where you're going. And it starts with not saying, you know, it can start with your weight loss journey and say, like, these are my goals for the next, I don't care if it's month, 3 months, 6 months, a year. Like, I have some goals by the time I hit 40. And
I want to know who just burped.
I know.
Sorry.
Just burped. I'm Jackie. I'm muting the burper. I was like, that was nice. Who did that? Jackie. Oh my gosh. Okay, so, and I don't know what Jackie it is. We have two Jackies. That's funny. Okay, so no one follows someone who doesn't believe in where they're going. So this is the thing. A lot of people, I want to get back to the income thing. A lot of people, I think you guys hold yourself back from talking about income. And if you haven't made anything, that's fine. We're going to start there. But when you make your first $14 or sell your first challenge pack and make your first $40, like, go celebrate it. Go celebrate it in the team. Go celebrate it on Facebook and be like, listen, I'm loving what I do. I'm drinking my shakes for free, or I'm helping other people and I just made enough to get a manicure and a pedicure. Like, you have to tell people what you're doing with your money. Or I just paid off $40 off my credit card. I'm that much closer to being debt free. Like, what are you doing with it? Are you making $100 a month? Are you making $500 a month? If you're making $500 a month, what are you doing with it? Tell people, because it will change someone's life. I guarantee if you get on there and say, if you had an extra $500 a month, what would you do with it? What would people do with it? Do they want someone to clean their house? Do they want to go on vacation? Is that what their car payment is? Would it help pay off their student loans and the debt that everyone is living in these days? What would they do with it? And then reach out to those people and say, well, I make $500 a month. I can help you do it. I make $1,000 a month. I make this, I make that. I have made this mistake for too long, not sharing what I make. And then it got to a point where it's like, okay, well, I make good money, but I should be making more because there's people that have been in it 4 years and they make $1 million. So I should be making more. Well, bullshit. Like, I'm so sick of it because I am 2,000, probably more like $1,000 away now come Thursday. So I have made $100,000 with Beachbody. That's a lot of freaking money. I don't care how long I've been a coach. What could you do starting today? Say you've made zero. If you could make $100,000 in the next 4 years, working from your computer and working from your phone, helping people accomplish their goals, would it be worth it? Yeah, it's $100,000. Maybe you have that much in loans. Maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you want to buy a couple cars. Like, there's so much you can do with that. It's insane. And I started to write out the things that I've done with it so that I can make myself more vulnerable. If I want that in you guys, I have to be more vulnerable. I have to say, this is what we've done with it. We have no car payments. We went from a 30 to a 15-year mortgage a few years ago. So now I feel closer to paying off my mortgage even faster. I helped my husband start a real estate business almost 18 months ago, which setting up a corporation, taking classes, doing all the stuff we had to do, buying our first flip. We did our first flip. That was all major investment and money that I just couldn't do without this business. I couldn't do it. I helped build a house by myself. One house in Nicaragua is built because of what I donated last year. That's amazing. That makes me feel good, you know? I've also have a cleaning lady, which I really like her. And I don't have to ask to get my nails done. And I don't have to ask to have lunch with my girlfriends. And we go on more date nights. And I don't stress out about paying a babysitter because of the money that I bring in to Beachbody. And you guys have to realize that it all starts with making 100. And then I'm going to say, okay, you made your 100. Now let's make 200. Okay, you made 250. Now let's make 500. Now let's make 750. Let's make 1,000. And it's the same things that you're doing. You're just going to get better at doing them. You're going to be comfortable talking to more people. You're going to be more comfortable inviting your team. And your job is to then teach the people that you bring on how to do the same thing. You guys, if you can make $100, you can teach someone else how to do it. And if you can make $1,000, you can teach someone else how to do it. Because you are not the person that's duplicatable. The system is what's duplicatable. So don't stress out and say like, okay, well, like, Dane's, owns his own business and a personal trainer. Like, we're not trying to duplicate Dane. Dane just has to teach people the system of how to do it. They don't have to be them. No one has to be, me or Megan or Leslie. Like, we all have different jobs. We all work different hours. We all have different amounts of kids, and we all have different goals. So just because my goal is to keep going up and making more money because that's where I'm driving my bus and that's the type of people that I want to attract, doesn't mean it has to be your goal. It doesn't mean you're going to be left behind. That was the reminder in this event this weekend. It didn't matter that my goal wasn't to complete the course as fast as possible. My goal was simply not to die. And everyone on my team knew that, and everyone supported that. And I got lifts over walls and I got help across monkey bars because they knew that was my goal. But they also knew when they saw an obstacle or they saw me walk up to an obstacle, if I could do it or not. Like, I think people saw and they're like, you got this. Like, you got this. You're going to pick up this 40-pound ball and walk over there and do 5 burpees and then pick up the ball again and walk back. And I'm like, yeah, I got this. I'm gonna pick up the ball. I got it. And there were some, I just really surprised myself. I was like, I got this. I can apparently flip a 200-pound tire. Who knew? I had no idea. I never tried, never thought about it. I've seen people flip tires and I think it's a little weird usually. I'm like, who wants to flip a tire? Like, what is this working? It's working things that don't allow you to lift your upper body for 2 days is what it's working. Leslie, guys, was a total badass in this event. Her and her husband were amazing. She was like a little monkey on the rings and the bars and all sorts of things where I was just totally impressed. And I was behind her on an obstacle that worked me over. I don't know. I don't think I've shown my bruises to you guys. Let me show you my bruise. Hold on. There was an obstacle that I helped Leslie with, and I didn't help her. Like, I was just standing underneath her, like kind of trying to touch her butt, but she was like, no, don't help me. I don't think I need help. I'm like, I'm just standing here so you don't crack your head open, but you just let me know what you need. And she just climbed up this inverted wall and flipped herself over. And I was like, holy crap, like, she's amazing. So that was not how it went down for me. But then I was next, and she went around. Is that your bruise from that? Okay, this is my bruise from that. Yeah, this obstacle. She went around, like, once you're done, you can still go around and help someone, right? So I'm on this inverted wall, and I get my arm to the top. I get to the top of the wall. I'm like, I can't even show you how I was sitting, but like totally frog squatting, like on Leslie, and I don't know who else was under me. I think my roommate, Kate, maybe Mary Kate. And Leslie's like, okay, like, again, with the get your leg over the wall, like, lots of walls, guys. She's like, okay, just move your leg over the wall. And I'm like, Leslie, I'm telling my brain to move my foot over the wall, and it's not moving. Like, my foot is not moving. I don't know what to do. But I'm hanging on the wall right here. Like, I know that's what I'm like hugging the wall. Like, I just gotta get my leg over. And someone came around the other side, and again, like, I wish I could see how it really happened, because my toe was like this much over the wall, and I think they were just like folded over. So somehow I made it over that one. But she was amazing. She was just so good. I was so impressed. I was so impressed with everyone, really. But everyone just did things they just didn't think they could do. And I had a point to the story, and I probably already lost it because I was back to the wall thing. But the bruises, like, I have bruises all over my body. I have bruises that I should not have bruises. Like, one girl in our group, like, it's just like all over her legs. It's kind of weird how people have it in different places, like what they use more. Like, I definitely use like my arms and upper body, and that's why my hurts so bad, I guess. But other people, I think, use their legs a lot more for obstacles. But anyways, got really excited there for a second. We're going to get cut off, but okay, we talked a lot about, and I started with this, like, the negative stuff you tell yourself daily, like, you're fat, you're lazy, you're not cut out for this business, you're not a good mom, you should do something different, like, you should just go back to being average, like, the negative reel that plays in your head. And those are real life examples, many of them mine, where we had to read out loud to people, which is super special. And it made me realize, like, we're just all human. Like, we all feel that way. We all have these negative tapes running in our head, but it doesn't get us anywhere. And like, we did that activity before the race. And at one point I was carrying the sandbag thing. We had to carry, I don't even know how much it weighed, but we had to carry the sandbag around, a quarter mile or whatever it was, and up hills and whatever. And the whole time one of my things is, I call myself lazy. It's a negative tape that runs in my head. And I was doing that and doing this race, and I was like, screw that. I am not lazy. Lazy people do not do these things. Lazy people do not carry sandbags around their neck. They do not. So I started saying it over and over, and I said it to the team. I said out loud, I was like, I am not lazy. I am here. I am doing it. So it's something that I have to crash the chatterbox. And we were challenged to come home, and the things that we are like, that were negative, to stop saying. And then we all went around and told each other positive things about ourselves and wrote down hopefully positive things about ourselves, and to come home and start saying those I am statements for 45 days. And the 45 days has come up a few times since then, talking about things. So if you suck on social media and you don't really post, I need you to do it for 45 days. If you don't invite, you need to do it for 45 days. One a day. Invite 45 people for me in the end of 45 days, and I promise you, you're going to sell a challenge pack. If you don't know what to say, write me and I'll tell you. If you don't know what to say back when they write you back, write me and I'll tell you. I will walk you through the entire thing. You can pick anyone on this team that would do that for you. Leslie, Megan, Carmen, anyone who's wrote it. And if you're an old season coach and you're like, I feel like I don't know what to say now, or then still ask us. Start brand new and say, I'm going to invite for 45 days. One person, that's all I'm asking. One post on Facebook if that's what you're not good at. Like, let's start there and ask me what to post. And do these I am statements. Talk about positive things to yourself. Put them on your bathroom mirror. See them every day. Say them out loud. Saying them out loud is way more impactful than just reading them, by the way, to make you really say them. And then we talked obviously about lots of other stuff, but I know I'll get cut off. So it was an amazing event. I do think that they'll do it again. I know people were leaving like, so there's a sprint, there's a super and a beast, and people are, oh, we should do a super together. And I'm like, slow your roll. Like, maybe we should just do a sprint again together. Like, maybe I should just try to do everything on the sprint before I do a super. Leslie's husband did the super on Saturday and the sprint with us on Sunday, and he was still like pushing my butt over things. Like, I can't imagine how sore he is. And then he had to go on a business trip. So I want you guys to get to events. For those of you that I'm going to see in Summit, I'm so excited because it's coming up very soon. It's never too late to go to Summit. There's people that have become a coach the week before Summit and shown up at Summit. So if there's a will, there's a way if you want to be there. And after that, we'll start planning another event so that we can all be together. But I just want you guys to challenge yourself for the next 45 days. I'd love to get a message in my inbox saying, this is what I suck at, and this is what I'm going to do for the next 45 days. And I'll tell you what mine is in return. And then if you have not done the poll, go ahead and do that, because then I'm going to start to reach out with you and not only find out, like if you said, I want to make $500 or $1,000, I just have to know what you're making right now so I can help you narrow the gap. And then if it's like I'm making 0 but I want to make 1,000, then we're going to start at 250, 100, 250, 500, 750 as we move our way up. But I'm going to keep you accountable to your financial goals, just like we keep others accountable to their weight loss goals. So it will be like I'm going to track your shit. So, all right. I love you. I'll get off before it cuts me off. And